Meeting for March 5th, 2026. Hope to get folks out before the snow flies, especially folks who are architects who have a drive. So why don't we get started? Superintendent, do you have anything? Or
No, I'm going to hand it right over to Matt.
All right. I'm going to hand it over to HMFH because
it's a hot potato.
I'm going to hand it to Terry.
Adjourn.
Terry, would you like to say it? So you have some samples, but yeah, go ahead. We're going to.
Do we want to start with the Sustainability Committee's discussion, because that's where we left off on LEED certification, and they met just before this meeting.
Yes.
So I don't know if Liz and Kate want to sort of report out where.
We will. Pam heard the end of it, so she heard the motion. We met briefly. Unfortunately, we didn't have more time, but for 30 minutes with those who attended the Sustainability Committee meeting, we are recommending LEED certification pursuing gold in a two-step review process. So we looked at the scorecard, the LEED scorecard that was given to us. We already are meeting, or we're assumed to meet based on the scorecard, the silver LEED certification, that with a couple little changes, hopefully that will get us into the gold category. So it gets us a goal to gold, which we think with just a few changes, hopefully not expensive changes. Again, we'd like to pursue gold, and we will look at the costs of anything that needs to be done in order for us to get to gold. But that was the recommendation that came out of sustainability. Yes, Madeline.
Could you explain what led the committee to that conclusion? Because I think that at our last meeting we talked about possibly doing everything and getting all the benefits, but not incurring any of the costs of the actual like what are we getting from the certification other than a plaque on the wall?
That's what we're getting, a plaque on the wall.
So is it worth the cost?
Yes,
like, because we can do all of the things.
$14,000 is what we're told is the estimate for that plaque on the wall. $14,000, the paperwork and the plaque.
Okay.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. To get that, we already basically meet it in what they think our current project is in silver, if we wanted silver. So for $14,000, we would make sure that we have a third party that checks those boxes to say you actually met this.
Okay.
Okay, so they could say, there was consensus that if as the Sustainability Committee, the recommendation being that we want to know that it's actually meeting this.
Okay.
And it's not just.
And our project manager or general contractor couldn't just
they could
document and tell us that they did it
They
or
could
that
tell
it
us
is
that.
done.
If HMFH wants to talk more about the checking of the boxes like we're talking about, they could. But I do see that this would allow us to really say that we did this as an investment for the future. And so for $14,000, now to add more of that cost, like what an example that was given with bikes, for example, and how the bikes racks have to be, and measurements to bike paths and whatnot, that could become more costly. So that wouldn't be a level that we would want to then pursue necessarily to get us into gold. But if we're already at 58 and we need 60 to gold, that was where the pursuing to gold came from.
One of the things I think we heard at our last meeting was that it wasn't just the cost of the certification, but it was potential cost in time during the process. Did you discuss that at all? Or?
So we discussed it with the construction manager, Harvey Construction, and their answer was that they bid on this job as a CHIPS job, which CHIPS is translating now to LEED, and that it's owned in their scope, and that there wouldn't necessarily be a savings to extract that from their scope at this point. So I think that would have been where the savings would have happened, and since they're not seeing it, really the only additional cost is to get it a design review and then a construction review from USGBC.
And is that an additional cost, or that's in our budget already?
That's a good question because we were carrying chips. So is chips similar?
thought it
We'll
was
have to
in our
check.
budget.
It might very well be. So we'll check that.
Other,
Can I just, yeah, from the Sustainability Committee, we spent the most of our short meeting time talking about the question that Madeline asked, which was, is it worth it to get it, and is it more than a plaque? And I think there was a good discussion about the fact that you can design a building to do something, but you don't know if it's actually going to achieve the savings for the community that it's supposed to achieve unless you check to see if it was actually built to the standard it needs to be built to, and actually do some monitoring post-construction, which is part of the utility incentives as well. It's great to have the idea on paper, but unless we look at whether it's actually coming out that way, we want to ensure we're getting the savings. Yeah.
To be clear, I fully support the checking. I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
Matt could do the checking, or
Yeah.
we, I think, have some capacity or some consultants and our contractors to do that. But I understand.
Mr. Richards?
Yeah, just to be clear then, when you get a LEED certification, they are in doing physical checking, doing measurements, doing all of that, as opposed to just saying, you did this, so yes, you get we're getting, in other words, going back to what Madeline's question was, is we're getting a lot of work for our $14,000.
So what USGBC or GBCI is the wing that actually reviews everything. They review everything, but you have to document it. So the commissioning that's done in the field on site that you want to do to make sure you're meeting the performance of the building, all of the documentation showing the building has been commissioned would be submitted to GBCI to review and prove that it's been done. And then you can get the point in the rating system for that category, as an example.
So
So they don't do.
you're already proving everything, you're already doing everything, you're just submitting it for the plaque.
It's a lot of
On-
paperwork.
It's a
is
lot of
my-
paperwork.
On the-
is my understanding.
It is a lot of paperwork, but yes, and they're verifying it.
I'd like to, so do we get like insurance discounts or monetary benefits for being leads as opposed to non-leads?
Well,
Certified.
so it's verification. So verification happens after the project. So you should see, if you design it to lead specifications, and once it opens and you have that period of evaluation, you should see the credits. You should see the value in those measures that you took to save money on the operation of the building.
Well, I mean, but whether or not you're LEED certified or not, you would still see that value, correct?
You would. I think this is the verification component by a third party to prove that you met all those conditions.
And the reason why we started with chips in the first place was because when we applied for building aid, it gave us 100 points on our application. And so you needed that so you could get a good ranking, right? So that's where this all started. So that's why we registered it. So you already paid that fee to register it. And it used to be like when we did the elementary schools that they would give you additional money for doing chips verified. But of course now.
We're not getting additional money. I am all for doing the things that we are doing, but I have to give credence to Madeline's question is, do we want to spend $14,000 on a plaque, or would you rather spend $14,000 on environmental improvements that would actually change something? $14,000 is $14,000.
I caught that tail end of the sustainability committee meeting, and one of the things that I heard that did resonate with me is that, when we set out, those many moons ago, to build this building, there was a, commitment and a real interest in the board and in the community of building a sort of model building, a net zero building, a sustainable building, and that this gives the community the sort of stamp of approval that we have done that. Now, if we were going to do it all and there was real savings, to not going through this process, then I'd be on board, but I'd say, okay, let's just skip it, but like, there's no real savings to not doing it, we've already basically paid for it. So I'm sort of like, why not? Is where, you know, I end up.
That's how I feel for $14,000. Now, if we were gonna pursue points on this, that would cost us $100,000, then I don't think that would be worth it. But if it's a couple points just to get us into that gold category, and then it's $14,000 for that, just to verify that we are a sustainable building.
Well, and I think, you know, the question would be, what's on that list, like, does, you know, that would get us the extra points? Does it improve the quality of the building? Does it improve the quality of the student experience? Does it make the building easier to maintain or sustain, like that? But I feel like those are questions that we can
Well, just
have down the line.
one example of that we've been talking about is commissioning, that we want to do anyway, in a more enhanced version of commissioning. Commissioning means they go in and make sure your mechanical system is built as designed, and then once it's running as designed. And then also your envelope of the building, you can do commissioning on that, and that ensures that they built it correctly and that it's airtight, and that is going to help your energy efficiency too. So those things we would like to do, and that gives you more points under one of the categories. It will cost money, but it's something that all projects should really do to get the building running the way it needs to. They're so complicated now.
Mr. Rourke?
So let's say something is discovered to not be working as it should, then is it basically insurance to hold somebody accountable for making sure?
The contractor has to fix it and
Okay.
make it work the way it's supposed to work.
Mr. Burgess?
Are there ongoing costs, year two forward, that we would need to consider for LEED to maintain the certification?
They have a separate certification under O&M that you would go for if you were, wanted to continue certification. So it's basically a point in time. This is how the building was designed to be, and that's what they are certifying at that time. Some, building owners do the O&M and want to continue to document that they're meeting the energy performance and stuff like that. So that's a separate certification. But- Yeah, operations and maintenance is the O&M. And I think new versions of LEED, so there's a new version of LEED coming out that you don't need to follow, luckily, because it gets more stringent. So this would be under V4. They have V5, which is going to be it's rolled out now, and if you were to register after June, you'd have to be in V5. And there's some additional requirements, sort of like the utilities, of submitting your performance afterwards in order to get certification. So they're starting to make how it performs be relevant to certification. You're in the older version if you pursued this and wouldn't have to do that.
Thank you.
Ms. Fox?
If we were to pursue the commissioning that you mentioned, is that the $14,000, or would that be on top of that?
The commissioning is separate from that.
And,
That's, yeah,
and roughly how much does that?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
About $1 to $2 a square foot.
There you go. It's on the owner's side of the budget, but we have that, a line item for that, like we're holding an amount of money for that, so it's in there now.
That's another example of a third party. So the contractor's not doing the commissioning. The owner brings their person in to do the commissioning.
And it's not the design team bringing that person in, it's like a separate entity checking.
But it's built into our budget. Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Well, I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
that that we pursue LEED certification towards gold in the two-step review process for the building of
there a second?
That would be a recommendation to the board, right?
Recommendation to the board, yep.
Amending. Recommendation to the board.
Is there a second? I will second. Further discussion?
I'll just say, I'm disappointed that there are no savings with Harvey, and I kind of wish they were here to explain to us how that is, because if you're taking something out of their scope and it's gonna save them time, it feels like there should be savings, and when we discussed this previously, we thought there would be. So it's a little bit challenging to understand why there aren't. I don't know if you have any more information about that.
I don't have any more information, but we would have to ask them at the next meeting.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, I'm not quite there.
Okay, motion, abstentions? Motion passes. We will keep, this is actually not adding something to the project, it's keeping it in the project, essentially. And we will talk to the board about that as well. And maybe we can get some better answers from Harvey between now and the board meeting. Exterior update. Like, we've got samples to look at. This is exciting.
And I'll just add that I fully support commissioning. I think it's critically important. My not supporting LEED doesn't mean I don't think HVAC commissioning is absolutely critically important.
You're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, it's crazy
Totally
to not
agree
do
on
it
that.
on an investment this size.
They're gonna do the video.
Yep. So, we do have a short animation to show you of the progress on the exterior. This is a view looking towards the main entry, kind of across the athletic fields. And I will pull up the 3D. Played this video 3 times today, and now all of a sudden, there we go. So this is coming up the main entry drive, heading towards the parent drop-off. You can see in the foreground there, we're starting to look at the PV parking canopy. That'll, we're still not sure how much PV we need to get to net zero, but that's a work in progress. We're heading here now towards the main entrance from the parent drop-off. You can see the academic wing on the left. This is the entry walkway canopy that will take you to the front door from the parent drop-off.
Parents will also be able to sit under that or stand under that to watch the soccer games on the fields, which are right next to us.
Right, so the athletic fields, we're kind of swinging around into one of the fields in a moment here, looking back towards the main entrance. The media center is sort of on the right of the glassy main entrance there. And then all the way to the far right, that is the music classroom, and the canopy continues and meets up with the bus drop-off on the north side of the site. We're now swinging around, music's on the left there, and then that is the cafeteria courtyard. You can see the 3 popping up forms are the art classrooms. And now we're swinging around to the back side of the building. You can see the gym up there on the 2nd floor with its sort of long clear story. And now we're swinging around back to the south, and you can see the 3 kind of team academic pods with the little kind of courtyards that connect the team pods. And then now we'll drop back down to the main entrance.
Is that like a little roof garden there?
We have a very small green roof. It would not be quite as tall as what you're seeing there. It'd probably be more like sedum.
That's the maker space that looks out onto it, so that you'll see that instead of the top of the canopy.
The 3rd floor of the academic pods, do they have a sloped ceiling? Is
They
that-
do. They do. So
Under the gable of the roof on the third floor.
And will that impact the feeling of size of those rooms compared to the ones below?
The knee wall, kind of the spring point of the roof is actually pretty high, so it's actually 6'8", so you can just about, you can stand at that wall, so it's not gonna feel, small, it's gonna feel actually quite expansive, because it's a fairly tall ceiling.
And they actually get like a little built-in bookcase on one side and a bench on the other side where they can pull up one of the tables, so it's all usable space. And the nice thing about the gable is it tries to bring down the scale a little bit in the residential neighborhood.
Yeah, that was the goal. So from the exterior of the building, instead of having our typical floor-to-floor height, 14 feet 8 inches. So instead of having a 15-foot wall at the third floor, we only have about an 8-foot wall on the third floor. So that really helps bring down the scale, and the roof is sloping back away from you.
Video is
I can-
a little fast. And
Yeah, do you want me to play the video again before we dive? We have a couple of renderings and,
maybe just show like the art rooms, maybe just the back of it if you can like fast forward it
Yep,
through.
yep.
We don't have to.
and
run
we
the
can,
whole
we
thing.
can pause on parts of the video too. Yeah, I know. Okay. Here. So I'll go back down to the corner here. So these are the 3 art classrooms. So those are sort of story and a half spaces with a clear story facing north, so they'll have very nice light. This bar over here, this is the robotics classroom over the wood shop. The wood shop does have access to a little kind of outdoor yard to the north. You can spin around into the courtyard.
Yeah, the theater.
Yep. So I'll pause again here. So this is the band room right here. This is the orchestra and chorus classroom. And then this is the theater.
Should do a zoom in on that.
Yeah. we can do that.
What is the actual distance between the back of the school and Springfield's, the property line on Springfield Street?
That's a good question.
I can pull up a site plan when we're done with the video.
More, that's probably a question you'll need to answer next week at the abutters meeting.
Actually, that's a good, we can put all of the setbacks on the site plan for that meeting. I think that might be helpful.
Can I just ask, and I know we're talking about the building exterior, but the landscaping, like that green by the buses, is that like already decided that's what's going to be there, or is that another discussion?
Well, we can pull up the site plan too. We have a site plan. So there has been a site plan that has been now submitted and reviewed by the planning board too. So we went through that process last month.
That grass will be trashed.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's actually all grass.
That's what I
think
was
I
wondering.
think there might be more paving. So
Okay.
I have to say that the animation is not 100%
Landscape.
on the
That's
landscape.
what I was wondering. Thank
It's
you.
kind of a close approximation. So, yeah. But we'll pull up the site plan and we can show you that. Yeah. Go back to where?
Presentation.
Yep.
I don't think we need to play it through that. We can probably just.
Okay. So this is a view looking towards the entry. So most of the exterior is brick, and we actually brought some samples for you to see tonight that we can take a look at. We're looking at 2 different colors of brick. Most of the building is sort of a reddish brick, and then we do have a little bit of what we're looking at as a gray brick that kind of connects some of the volumes to make them pop a little more. So we've got gray brick in the courtyards between the 3 kind of academic team pods with the sloped roof. And then this is a view looking back towards that cafeteria courtyard.
So Holly, just if we stop for a second, so we've been talking about matching the brick, a similar brick to Abbott Downing.
Or Tina.
So this is the actual brick that's on Abbott Downing, just for reference. And you can compare it to the color here on this brick.
we talking about brick or like a brick
Brick,
facade?
brick.
Like we're actually masonry.
A mason's gonna come build it.
Okay.
Yep. This actually is very similar brick to the building we're in right now.
Can I ask a question about that garden on the fronts? I know this is so silly, but is that gonna create, like, are we gonna have to maintain that, like, is your crew gonna have to make that pretty and extra money to like upkeep? I'm just picturing 10 years of all weeds. I know
We are
that's
gonna-
silly.
There's
We're
one
gonna
at
have
the
to
at the law
maintain it.
school.
Yeah.
So like where our
Is
kids'
it
bus
weeds?
stop is, it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
I will say I don't know how many years it's been there.
And I
If
don't
you
want
want to
us to
at
have
the
to
corner
pay
at the
people
corner
up
of
there, like,
Washington and Rumford, right there. There's one. I'm guessing like very similar to what you're proposing at the UNH Law School. And so you can go look at what it looks like. It's a little over their entryway. There's a
Oh, the green roof?
Oh,
Sorry, I
wait,
missed your
and
question,
the
what it was about.
entryway? The kids are going in there?
I just assumed that garden was like, so kids could access it or use it.
We don't have an
No.
accessible outdoor classroom. It's a fairly small area just over the canopy, but you look out over that from the maker space on the upper
So
floor.
there's no way to, how do you access it?
So is there a door that they would go to maintain it?
Sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Let her answer the question.
Very passionate about this roof.
It's only one story up, so the access to it would probably be from a lift or a ladder. Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna probably be sedum. It's not gonna be like, big tall wildflowers like that.
So we can continue to
Okay.
discuss
Yeah.
that, right? We
Okay.
don't have to make a
Absolutely.
decision on that tonight.
You absolutely can.
Can I ask, so, what you're thinking about the difference between the,
I'm gonna pretend I see a real difference between the Abbottowning
and what you're thinking of,
It's a similar color, so they're on the same campus. So
Yeah.
we want the two buildings to be, united together. You see the picture here. We're proposing a similar color in our brick, but we're showing a different shape brick. So not as tall and a little bit longer. So just a different look to distinguish the middle school from the Abbottowning school. But they'll
looks more
complement
modern,
each other.
Ms. Minot?
Would there be any cost savings possibly if you use the wider brick? Because I know if you're like getting subway tile, doing all those teeny tiny tiles takes way longer than if you're doing a tile.
That's
that is
actually
wider.
longer than a standard brick.
It's
So-
longer. Yeah, it's longer but skinnier. So you're gonna stack.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's gonna be a savings or a cost difference either way in that. Yeah. And then the gray, you saw the gray brick inside the courtyard areas, just to sort of break down the mass. We're also looking at ways to add pops of color. We've talked about, maybe having multiple colors on the building, not just the blue school color, because school colors change over time. But we're working on that now in the office, and we'll bring you another presentation to show you some color. We had talked to the planning board about it. They had wondered if we could, add a little bit more fun color in for the kids. So that's the next presentation.
The other thing that we're looking at is using some brick patterning on the building to help kind of bring down the scale and add a little more texture in different locations. So we're looking at two different types of patterning. We're looking at one where we kind of rotate the brick to create a really heavily textured area. So you can see here, this is that sort of rotated brick, and we use that in just kind of small areas, like, to kind of accentuate the verticality of these windows in this case.
Maybe show them where on the elevation.
Yeah, it's right here. So that brick patterning would happen kind of in these rectangles here between the windows. I have an overall elevation too where you can see where that brick patterning reappears around the building. So it's something that kind of unifies the building on all four sides.
And does that add anything to maintenance?
No. Something that we've done on a lot of other projects too is this sort of brick patterning, and masons are usually very excited to do it. They like being challenged a little bit and enjoy the process. So
They're artists.
yes.
Fox and then Ms. Campbell?
Just looking at the lighter colored brick, I noticed that the inside of the brick is the red color.
Right, yep.
How durable is the color on the outside of the brick?
Does it have to be re-treated?
No.
Yeah.
No, there's no treatment needed for that. And you'll be able to see that difference in color too, because I think Collie's gonna switch to another,
Yeah. So where we were proposing the gray brick, we were looking at doing a kind of a more heavily textured pattern over the whole wall, and we were just looking at doing a kind of a, basically what's called a reveal. So one course of the brick would stick out, the other would push back a little bit, and that would allow you to actually see that little bit of red on the top, which would tie it in with the red brick that we're using elsewhere. So we did also look at some other gray bricks that are like through body color, but we thought that kind of that red edge was a very nice touch and a way to tie the two pieces together.
I am so sorry again. I know nothing about nature or any of this, but the pattern. But this is an actual question, even though I feel ridiculous asking this. The pattern that you showed under the windows, and we're not worried. Like there could be like nests, like bees making nests there, and stuff like that. Like that's okay.
I don't think it's deep enough to have that happen. Like, there's no actual, like, places that go into the building where they can, like, get in. Yeah, it's just turned.
The only note that I would say is over at Abbott Downing, if you recall the front facade, not to invite any ideas, but we have had a kid or two try to climb that. It was easy. So just a consideration. I like that variation, but I might prefer it to be a little out of reach.
It's a better comment than bees. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering about, so non-climbable.
So right now that you can see on this elevation that kind of the darker spots are where we have that brick patterning, and that's at 14 feet.
That sounds
Something
good.
off
That sounds
the
good.
ground, so it's not low.
No free climbing the middle school.
Right, the stripes are only an inch.
Yeah, I mean,
so
and that's gonna,
Dexter.
We're gonna start a free
free
climb.
climbing and things like that, yeah. That's-
The other thing I wanted to point out is we did have, oh, I'm sorry.
No, just along, understanding the whole foul play conversation, are one of these easier to clean if there's graffiti on? This looks like it has a little more texture, which I think is nice, but it may be harder to clean if there's graffiti on any of this brick.
So that one that you're pointing to is Abbott Downing. That's the one we're proposing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is what was in the existing school?
That's on
Abbott
that
Downing.
building and on
Okay.
this building.
Thank you.
We can also put a coating
Sealer.
on the brick if, that's a real concern, integrity.
It's middle school.
So they climb that?
They did, yeah. So
They climb
again,
this.
not inviting this
Any texture.
to go,
must
yeah, but
be-
see where the red schoolhouse in the middle?
Yep.
To the left and to the right, it invited some climbers. Luckily, nothing.
Mr. Dunn?
Just a quick question, when they put in the brick, they create a little bit of tilt to it, because then I'm just worried about the water freezing and then causing that white to start coming out.
Yeah, I think, we've talked to our structural engineers about this too, and you can only, push it out a certain amount, so that doesn't happen. So we won't design anything where that would be a problem. There's the site plan.
Yeah, so I think we're, probably 300 feet or so. If this is a graphic scale, no, that's 200 feet. So probably 200 feet from the property line on the north side of the site. Is that right? Maybe a little under two. Oh, you measured it? Okay. What is it on the east, the west side? So the closest point might be 60 feet along the west side of the site.
From the building, not from the access road.
From the building?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. There was another site question earlier too, or is that the only one?
I just had the one about the buses and pavement, and I just know how the kids line up now. Where they are in the front of the building is supposed to be grass, but when you have that many kids walking over it, it's just not possible to keep it there. So I would suggest wherever we have kids lining up for buses, grass just shouldn't even be attempted. So, like right in there.
Right there.
Yeah, all the kids, I mean, as much as I would love the buses to also kind of change their timeliness with our new school, I don't know that we can count on that, and the kids will have to line up. So
Yeah, that's a
having
good
them line
point.
up on grass won't make sense.
Yeah, we could widen that sidewalk and make it more of a plaza there along the roadway.
That is a good flag.
Mm-hmm.
Looks small.
Other questions, comments on the site plan?
You think so, 10 feet?
Could I see the original video again? What I'm really looking at is the roofs,
Yeah, sure.
please.
Want me to start it from the beginning?
That's not a bad view right there, but yes.
So we do have PV over, most of the roof, including the sloped roofs.
Can I see the sloped roofs?
And I can pause at any moment, so
So-
if you'd like me to pause.
That's okay, I can ask my question right now.
Okay.
I have experience with the fact that snow slides off of photovoltaics. It comes down in a avalanche sort of a thing. What are we doing to keep an avalanche from coming off of that one? Because I have seen thousands of pounds of snow slide off a roof and land right in front of some people, from a video of my other job, other thing I do. So I'm just concerned that I just want to make sure that we're doing something that would prevent that from happening along the sloped roof.
Well, and if you prevent that from happening, you're not gonna get any generation for most of the winter.
Well, that's
That's a
the
trade-off.
other question with most of the PV is on flat roofs. So is that a heated?
Are the panels flat
Are the
on the flat
panels
roof, or are
on-
they're often angled on the flat roof, and so they'll shed
Some.
if they're at a high enough angle.
Looking, Gary, go for it.
Multiple questions.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry.
That's okay. So first of all, the panels on the sloped roofs, we were talking to the solar folks that are already on board, and they would be integrated with their panel system, the racking system. So they have snow guards that they integrate with their systems.
Okay, so they have snow guards planned into
They already have snow guards in the design, the idea of what they're doing. We also owned, in the documents you can see there'd be snow fences where there aren't even any solar panels yet. So we were having them there anyway, and once we talk to them and understand where they can integrate it into their system, we'll probably take them off of the roof system itself, so there wouldn't be double sets of snow fencing.
Thank you.
The question about the flat roofs is, yes, they are sloped. We're working with them. They're figuring out the layouts and production capacity, so I'm not sure what exact angle they'll be, but they're usually between 10 and 15 degrees. That helps shed some snow. It also helps water run off and keep them cleaner when it rains. But I don't know if that was, nothing's heated.
And so that's all figured in, that amount of snow shedding or not shedding is all figured into the generation annual generation calculation.
They use weather data to determine the production. So it's based on weather data that's been collected over many years.
Right, but if you have snow guards on the front of your racking, those panels are not gonna clear themselves. So those are going to be covered for a good portion of the winter, like a winter like we've just had.
Mhm.
Those are gonna be covered.
Yes,
And
they will be
therefore-
covered. Daylight still gets through snow, so there's some production, not as much as if it were clear.
We could have the design firm come and give a presentation on the solar panels. That might be
Because
good.
it's a difficult trade-off. We don't want snow avalanches coming down upon our students, but we're gonna lose generation.
Mr. Dunn?
So Karen and I have been on the conversation with the solar, the other piece that we're working with too is the canopy. car canopy, because you're gonna have that same issue, and that is even more voluminous because it's like a ski slope. But if I heard the word snow guards from Beth, how many times last week? A lot. So yeah, we have to figure that out on the design. Plus the drainage of the water and where all that needs to go. And there's also in the tax credit certain requirements that you have to have as it relates to how these are mounted. So we're factoring all that in as well.
Ms. Fox?
I understand nothing about roof construction or solar panels, so this is my preface. Steal Jess's lines. That if we could have the snow fencing built into the lower end of the roof, and if the solar panels don't go all the way down, would that allow some of the snow to come off of the solar panels and still be caught before they avalanche onto children?
Yeah, the upper section will slough, and then it'll pile onto the bottom.
Well, no, but I'm saying if you could have it on the roof below where the solar
even
panels
below the-
are, like mounted to the roof itself.
So
seem to be a
before
lot
we
of- there's no
design
spikes.
solar panels, because these are renditions, these aren't necessarily what the solar panel company is gonna, so maybe we will have them come in and do a presentation at some point on
Yeah,
that.
I
So
think
we
we'd
already
be-
have a solar vendor? Okay.
Yeah.
We had to put the solar in order to get the tax.
No, I know we had to buy panels.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
know we contracted with an installer.
We did because they had all the panels.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could just buy
Yep, so we're working with a vendor to help design it, and our understanding is from us having these early conversations is we're doing something that's normally done more towards the end, so we're trying to get ahead of it
Yeah, yeah.
earlier. We're working with our consultant for the last 15 years that I've been here, Beth Greenblatt, on these designs too, because of where the utilities need to come in, the primary meters, the dual transformers, who owns the transformers. And then as you talk about the solar too, you also have whether you build it in this animation like this, or do you build it like this? So everything drains that way and drains away, so you don't have to worry about the fall off of the snow.
So this isn't necessarily how they will look, this is just.
Correct.
That we will have them, so,
Got it.
They're just pretty for pictures right now.
thank you.
Right. The question about snow guards or snow fences being lower on the roof is good, and that's something we would discuss with them in the process of designing this, but we would want to be wary of the snow avalanche having more force on the fence down below. So a lot of times it just builds up slowly and the fence is holding it, but if you still have a slide, that may be challenging for a lower fence to catch, so to speak. So we need to kind of review that with different manufacturers.
I am also not a roof expert, but I'm just happy that someone is looking at and asking that question.
I will say,
Planning
like,
for
I
it.
am not a solar panel expert or a roof expert. I do spend a lot of time at a rink in Attleboro, Mass. that has the canopy solar. Their whole parking lot is, and I've been there in some wicked snowstorms and right after some wicked snowstorms, and there hasn't been a problem.
That's all we have.
That's all you have.
Is the exterior conversation include windows? Because when we visited Beaver Meadow, you talked about how we've been having to retrofit a lot of our elementary windows with some shatterproof films and some safety features like that. I'm just curious for the ground level window. I'm not as concerned about the higher up ones. For the ground level windows, is that already planned? Has that been thought about?
So I can say, to begin with, we do have school guard glass on all of the windows kind of adjacent to entries. And then I'll let Gary talk about the glazing for the rest of the windows, or the windows
Well,
themselves.
Well, we don't have laminations on all of the windows. We have it at where the school guard glass is. We have triple glazing right now, so, but it's still, quarter-inch tempered glass for those locations. So if you want to enhance that, we'd be looking at adding laminations in there for that.
I mean, I think at some point it would be good as we get closer to look at that for all the first floor windows. And look at that as we look at.
Look at a laminated.
If maybe there's a safety grant we could get.
Like, that's how we paid for the
That's
other
how we
ones,
paid
so
for the
yeah.
ones we're doing at the
Right.
elementary school.
I
That's what
agree.
I'm curious if maybe we can start looking at that
I
to
mean, we could put
integrate
that
it in.
as a line item for the cost estimate at 60%, so you can see the cost.
And then Ellen can start writing a grant
A grant.
application.
Tomorrow. If we can have it built in the next couple of weeks, that'd be great. Yeah, she'll be able to look at it.
Other questions?
I know it's early, but, and I know, and that's probably the answer, but I just noticed there are no lights.
Outdoor life?
There are lights.
Outdoor
There are
lights or
They're
on the
just-
building wall packs, or, I was just curious at this point, how are you going to light these areas to be able to get into the, and I might be too early to talk about that, but I'm
No,
just
no,
curious.
it's not.
Because
They're
your
in the
video
design.
doesn't have lights, and it strikes me.
As part of the planning
Planning board
submission,
submission,
we had
yeah.
to give the foot candle levels for the site lighting, so there is lighting planned and it's been calculated already for illumination. It's just not in our rendering, sort of like the
It's not in
grass.
your rendering. Yes, it's fine.
There's like lower scale kind of lighting along the pedestrian walkway. There's lights on the building, at the doors around the building. There's lights in the parking lot. That's a similar look to the pedestrian lighting, but taller.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm assuming,
Not-
these are low reflective upper at least, you
yes.
know.
They're all bug rated
Yeah.
fixtures, you know, so they're not illuminating the night sky. It's keeping within the property lines.
Right.
Thank you.
There's not lighting on the fields.
Okay. Okay.
What about, oh, sorry.
I just wanna piggyback on, Mr. Richards, that might be a question at the abutters.
Mhm.
About lighting.
About lighting,
Yeah.
to be clear on.
Also, I'm talking about the requirements, how you can't put light on the neighbors, so that's code.
Yeah, I mean, Jack was just saying that we have to follow specific, code that we don't spill our light over the property line to the neighbors. And we're not shining it, up into the sky for dark sky.
The engineers have also designed the site lighting so they step down when there's no one there, and then they ramp up when
Someone
they
drives
sense
in
motion.
or walks in to save energy.
Along those same lines, are there cameras in the
Yes.
planning, sort of around the entire building?
Yes.
Somebody asked about graffiti, I was hoping that.
Yep, there are cameras.
Other questions? Can you give us a little, I know we're expecting 60% documents, but, we've been talking about groundbreaking in April. Can you give us a little sense of where you are and what the community could expect to see in April?
Yeah, sure. So we are wrapping up our 60% CDs for April 1st. That's going to include early bid packages. So the early bid packages that Harvey will put out on the street include site enabling. So they'll, clear the site, put the fence up, put their trailers on the site. They've started developing phasing plans, which we'll share with the abutters at the meeting next week. This early packages also include the rammed aggregate piers, which is the soil stabilization package. It will include foundations and steel, so the structural package will be 100% on April 1st. And they'll go to the city and get a foundations-only permit to start doing that work. We're also expecting the AOT, the alteration of terrain permit, to come back so that they can actually have a groundbreaking and start working by mid-April. And then the remainder of our drawings will be finished August 1st.
And what
And
will they be doing on site in April? Is that the geothermal? Is that the foundation? Is it both? Or?
it really will just be the enabling of the site, like I said. So they'll need to clear certain things off the site. They need to put up their site fence. They need to get their trailers up and working. And then the first phase will be the rammed aggregate piers. So they'll have drill rigs on site, and they'll be doing a pattern of these piers throughout the whole building footprint, and the canopies for the solar canopies get them too. So that'll be the first thing that you see out there. And then
And it's going to be really quiet, I'm sure.
it's not going to be quiet, but those aren't as impactful as if you were like doing piles, you know, that kind of pounding noise that you hear. These are going to be drill rigs that kind of have like a corkscrew drill where they drill down into the earth and then they put stone down through the rig.
If anyone was downtown, that's the process the state used on that parking structure they just built. Is what it is.
Otherwise, the building sinks, so we don't want that.
No. I'm
That's-
not objecting to the process. I'm
She's
objecting
objecting to the
to
parking garage downtown.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they could give you more information, the construction manager, but the next process would be starting the foundations. So once those are in, they'll probably be following close behind, digging the foundations and pouring the concrete.
We had a meeting prior to these two back-to-back meetings with Harvey and with the architects. So next week, next Thursday, I think we talked about give the crowd, the neighbors, an idea of what the first phase is going to look like. So we'll be able to talk it through and let them know.
You previously said that it had not yet been determined how much solar PV was needed to achieve net zero, but you also just said that you're going to be driving piles for the solar canopy. Solar canopy is the most expensive per watt, and we don't have the incentives here in New Hampshire that they have in Massachusetts to put them at an ice rink. When will it be determined exactly how many panels we need? Are we definitely doing the canopy only if needed? When will it be determined how many panels we need to achieve net zero?
All good questions.
Yes, good questions. We're working with the provider to get there. So we don't have the answers yet. They're still figuring it out. We want to maximize the roof and have as little on the ground as possible.
Yeah.
And the plan at the moment, even though it doesn't show it here, is to start, if we need any canopies, they'd start in the north parking lot, and then, which is on
At the top.
the small parking lot.
Okay.
And then if we need more in the south parking lot, we'd be doing it in the middle parking zone, you know, away from both the building and the street edge.
Right.
And then going out from there if we need more.
So that will have to be determined before you start driving piles.
Yeah, the rammed aggregate piers. It isn't gonna.
Sorry.
That isn't gonna happen in April. You know, that'll probably start happening. It's gonna take them a while to mobilize. They won't mobilize overnight. So, if they start mobilizing April 15th, it's probably a few weeks of that. So we're looking, you know, June, may even coincide with like school being out to start all that process.
If possible, I would love to be kept in the loop on
I
the
have your
solar
number.
part of the project. I work in the industry. If you
Sure, it's great.
Just an update on the groundbreaking, talking to Harvey Construction. And so I've talked to Jay, and our proposed idea is doing it on a Saturday for more people to be able to attend. If that were to be the case, it's probably going to put it in May or June. Well, we're going to bring it to, our idea was to bring it to executive committee to pick a date, and then we would know for April.
Don't we think fewer children and fewer students will be able to attend on a Saturday than doing it on a school day?
Well,
During school?
it depends on who would want to attend. I think that's part of the question. So we can invite the entire school, but does the entire school want to attend or part of school? And so we have a lot of thoughts on it. And so we thought we'd bring it to you. But I just wanted to let you know, we don't think it's, between them probably not being actually on site in the middle of April and with April break in there, it might just make more sense to plan on it in May.
I'd be curious what Principal Richard thinks about having it be a school event versus a non-school event.
We talked about both. So I mean, we talked about, you know, having the entire school out there,
Right.
honestly, which would be pretty special. Then we talked about different weekends too. For example, like Pam probably knows, I'm headed Washington D.C. with 140 eighth graders like the first weekend of April. So we were just kind of putting some dates, you know, around. So I'm open-minded. I mean, I could envision the whole school being out there for it as well, or on a weekend. We were thinking more about the community's availability. you know, parking, those types of
I
things.
like the kids
Well,
being
one,
there.
one idea that Jay also had was doing some cool stuff in the fields, because sort of like a last hurrah in the fields with the kids. You know, and we could do some cool things with drones, and they have their weekly roundup news crew, you know, and so leading up to that. So
We can.
we'll bring more ideas, but I just wanted to let you know what we were thinking. If really the 8th grade trip does take
We
some.
were talking weekends, like what weekends we were looking at. That was the original thing that we were talking about in weeks. So when we thought about the project started in April, like it would be around April vacation. So
Hopefully the snow will be melted by then.
yeah. We'll be flexible. So do-
I agree, though. I'd love to know what the staff thinks and the kids think. I think that's the most important, is what they want to go with.
I mean, I can easily get my entire student body out there on the field with staff. So
You might want to bring some of the Abbott Downing kids who actually will
thinking that
attend.
too. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say-
The kids currently there might be a little bitter about it.
That's why I was just going to say the current students are a little bitter, especially when I told them there was going to be a Starbucks in the new school. They got real mad about that. But anyway, I feel weekend might be better because then families could bring the younger kids who are going to be in the building. That might be a cool opportunity for them. So.
I just don't think, honestly, and I've done a lot of. I just don't think you're going to get a crowd like you would
I don't
with
know.
students. I don't know. So we'll
Good to discuss.
Yeah, we'll discuss it.
Is
Is there anything else that you have, or Superintendent, Matt, Jack? Anyone have any other questions? All right, well, with that, we will adjourn for this evening and let people get home.
Good seeing you.